Welcome to Break Fix's Drive-Thru News, your monthly recap for everything fast, fascinating, and usually four-wheeled. We're serving up a fresh batch of automotive headlines, motorsports madness, and car-adjacent curiosities, all with zero wait time and maximum flavor. From Formula One drama to concept car debuts with garage-built legends to the quirkiest stories rolling out of the state of Florida, we've got your fix. So grab your coffee, buckle up, and let's cruise through the latest in the world of wheels with a side of entertainment and just a dash of tire smoke.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Spring is here.
Spring has sprung.
We have a new season has riz.
I wonder where all the cars is.
That's terrible.
I feel like that's a greeting card. We need G-Team greeting cards now.
We would be terrible at Hallmark. Like we get fired like the first day.
Well, I mean, we're terrible at everything else. Why not just keep it going?
That's true. So, so Brad, how are things going for you now in the new season?
Since it just started, great. Things are amazing. I'm well prepared. I'm ready to go. I actually watched some races. I'm eager to get started.
I detect a hint of sarcasm there, though.
No. What are you talking about? Not at all. No, I am terrible at sarcasm.
Let's hear from Kathleen Turner.
Katie Couric.
Wow, thank you. I know I'm several octaves lower than normal. I got that sultry sound
Sultry.
coming at you.
When is the 900 number come out?
This is like Delilah in the evenings. Delilah.
Oh my God.
I think Tanya needs to just do the rest of the drive-through just like that.
But you seem like you're a little down in the dumps. What's going on?
You know, this is the dilemma of the car person. You know, you've got these really cool cars that you like to put money into and fix up, and you buy all these mods and stuff. But then your uncool car, your daily driver, it gets sad that it's not getting any attention, so it manufactures a reason for you to spend money on it.
Oh, do tell.
It's nothing crazy. I just need to do brakes and brakes and brakes and brakes on the Tundra. So new pads and rotors are en route
Did you get something special? Cross-drilled, ventilated, slotted, anti-glazed super blacks?
because it's a Toyota Tundra. I obviously went with Ferrari carbon ceramic. The entire brakes cost more than I paid for the truck, like 5 times over. No, last time I did this, which granted, it was about 60,000 miles ago,
Hmm.
50,000 miles ago. So they've lasted really, really long. Tire Rack had a Hawk, the LTS or whatever the truck kit is with
Yeah.
cross-drilled rotors and everything. So I just did the same kit again.
Are you seeing the after effects of tariffs and other bureaucratic nonsense?
I don't remember how much it cost last time, so maybe. I just know how much it cost me now, and my wallet is almost $800 later.
Oh, oh, oh.
But that's pads and rotors, all four corners.
And you'll be able to do the work yourself, so you're going to save some money there.
Yeah, yeah, in my apartment parking lot. It's going to be great. Or I'll save it because all the parts will be here. I'll do it that weekend I come up, and it'll just be one of the things we do. And yet, pumpkin spice gets pushed to the back yet again.
You know,
I got to be able to stop, though. It's kind of important.
all it does is slow you down. I mean, it seems like a waste of time.
All brakes, all they do is slow you down. Yeah.
That's the Olegism right there, remember?
Yeah,
What good are brakes? All they do is slow you down.
exactly.
Well, you know what's not slowing down? The news. The automotive industry, the autosphere, it just keeps turning and churning and burning. We don't really have a formal showcase for our season kickoff. So why don't we dive right into your favorite segment, not lost and found, Porsche news.
Porsche news. Great.
You're a P car man at heart. You love those Porsches.
I do.
The hokey pokey with the Boxster and the Cayman continue. So this social media post, Porsche is secretly meeting to decide if the Boxster and the Cayman EVs live or die. Hype, clickbait, flashy light, AI generated pictures, the whole 9 yards.
So this says the drive can exclusively report a meeting is currently underway. So which meeting is more important? The Federal Reserve's FOMC meeting about rate cuts or this meeting about the Porsche Boxster and Cayman?
This is more interesting than the Treasury meeting by a mile.
I could see that. Yeah. Yes.
I think this is all BS. There's an article that I found in doing some research because I wanted to follow up on this social media post that had come out a bit ago because this isn't new news that Porsche's been meeting about the fate of the Boxster and the Cayman. Truth be told, the Taycan is being scrapped. They're kind of backpedaling on a lot of their EVs. The new Macan that was supposed to be EV, they said, nope, we're going to put a six-cylinder back in it. We're just going to sell it the way people want it. By the way, the new Macan I thought looked like the ID4. It's pretty ugly.
That is a novel concept, selling vehicles the way people actually want to buy them. I wish more car manufacturers would do that.
There's so many other options with your Porsche. Do you want it purple with yellow stitching or with white stitching? Like all this customization stuff, right? Maybe you could make it optional to say, I want the electric power plant or I want the fossil fuel power plant, and that's something you choose, and the car is basically the same. Because at the end, does it really have to look different? It should perform the same, it should handle the same. They need to figure out a way to put the electrics in the place of where the gas motor is. Now, granted, that's not always the easiest thing to do because of packaging, because of batteries, because of this, because of that. I just go back to the original Tesla Roadster where they figured it out without modifying that Elise too much. But, we'll leave that where it is.
Yeah.
But I did find an article to sort of follow this up. It was like, what did Porsche decide about the fate of the Cayman and the Boxster? And the only thing I came up with was an article from Motor Trend where a gentleman from Porsche of Australia said he drove the electric Boxster and that the electric Boxster was not dead yet. So I'm sort of like, well, okay, but there's no other indication. And even the Motor Trend article is like, well, if once we learn more, we will post more about this particular topic, but there's really no news. But it has been confirmed that the other Porsche models, because of their poor sales in China, VW's suffering, Porsche's having money problems, so they're backpedaling on a lot of these EVs because they're trying to make Taycans as an example that nobody wants to buy.
It seems like people don't even go to Porsche dealerships to buy Porsches anymore.
Oh,
If you look at the article that I just put in the chat, I don't know if this is rich people things or it's P car adjacent, but somebody just bought a brand new Mustang GTD, which is a $300,000 car, which
yeah.
makes it qualify for rich people things. Why don't you just take a guess at where they had it delivered?
Well, because we're talking about Porsches, did he have it delivered to a Volkswagen dealership?
He had it delivered to a Porsche dealership so he could take delivery of his $300,000 Porsche killer Mustang right in front of Porsche.
Why?
Well, because nobody wants to buy a Porsche.
It's just to show off. Hey, check out my
Yeah, just to
Mustang.
show, just because he could.
That's weird. That's very weird. So speaking of weird, Lamborghini is putting out yet another car without an R8 as a sibling to it. So Lambo's continuing to do what Lambo does, but in the same breath, the CTO from Lambo is going to Audi. Like, how does this work? Does this mean we're going to get an R8? Because if this guy's been behind Lambo just pumping out more cars every couple of years, does that mean Audi's going to have a supercar again?
But he's just the CTO. He's not the COO or the chief engineer or anything like that. I don't know where I was going with that, but I feel like it's like the no, it's like the CFO going somewhere, the head bean counter
Well, aren't the bean counters the ones in charge of all the designs now anyway?
for places like Chevy, and you can clearly tell.
To me, it's all that C-level juju, that voodoo that I don't understand, like what those guys do, other than get really big bonuses at the end of the year.
They make a ton of money for themselves and their shareholders. That's what they do.
If that's the case with the CTO coming over from Lambo, shouldn't he use a little leverage and say, hey guys, work for us at Lambo. Maybe you should build a supercar again.
Maybe. But did you also hear, and it's not in the notes here, but Audi is discontinuing the A8?
That doesn't surprise me. It hasn't sold well in years.
It hasn't looked good in years.
No, it looks terrible. Oh,
Yeah.
it's like an old Mercedes almost. It's super blocky and just, ugh,
Yeah.
super terrible.
So yeah, if there's no R8 sibling and then they're getting rid of the A8, they have to fund, as we've talked about multiple times, they have to fund that F1 team,
Somehow.
that they're doing so well with. They're actually not doing too bad, but yeah, they have to fund that program.
Well, there's a little wrinkle in that plan. Because first we had Dieselgate, and now we have Turbogate.
Uh-oh, Turbogate.
Oh man, have you read about this?
No.
So there were problems with the 2-liter turbos already a while ago, chain guide issues and other stuff that they had. I mean, this goes back to like the Mark V GTIs, like that far back, where there were always sort of issues with the 2-liter turbo. And much like the 1.8T, they sort of figured them out over time, recalls, do this, do that. Well, unfortunately, with the newer motors, the EA888, I gotta say that right, they are being hit with a class action lawsuit over oil consumption because the motors are basically blowing up and they have defective piston rings and high oil consumption, and they use this motor in everything.
And a point of clarification, even though the motor did come in cars all the way back to 2008, the lawsuit specifies 2018 and newer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, there's a statute
So
of
that gives them
limitations
a
there.
little bit of relief.
Yeah, but then you got to go back and look at the production numbers of vehicles that use that motor from 2018 forward. That's still an
Yeah.
absolute ton of cars. So anything with a 4-cylinder from VAG has the same power plant in it, and this is their new Dieselgate. This is going to cost them billions with a B.
Are they going to buy back all these cars? Are people going to is it going to be like Dieselgate all over again, where people like removed doors and windshields, and basically, as long as the vehicle could still drive into the lot, they were able to trade it back in?
I don't know that it's going to get to that point, but what it does bring up is an interesting dilemma that they have on their hands. Do you go the Toyota route like they did with their twin turbo sixes and all that stuff, where it's like, well, you're going to have to wait in line to get your new motor, and then we'll swap out the motor for the defective one, that kind of thing. But if they have to do that for all of these cars going back to a certain point, they're not going to be able to produce enough motors for one, and for two, it's going to cost them a mint.
Are you kidding? Of course they're going to be able to produce enough motors. They didn't sell that many of this shit.
But this 4 cylinders and everything, right? It's in the VWs.
There are.
It's in all of them. The thing is, if you were to do a fix, it requires an engine rebuild. So now you got to tear the whole thing down. So where is the point of no return? Where Audi and Volkswagen, and even if they use the 4 cylinders in the Porsches, which at one point they were rumored that they were going to try to use the same 2-liter turbo for some project over there too. But let's just say the VAG family as a whole, globally, don't forget, right? Because they're selling these motors in Brazil, they're selling them in Australia, they're selling them in Germany, they're selling them everywhere. Now, granted, the class action lawsuit is in America, but that doesn't mean it won't be like Dieselgate where it's more widespread. Again, where is the point of no return? Where do you cut your losses and say, yeah, we'll just buy back the car, or we'll give you a trade-in value that's decent towards a new one, or you just don't, and people run them till they explode and then they're worth nothing. So I wish them luck, but I think that's going to cut into their financial plans for Formula One. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's okay. They won't be missed. No, that's Cadillac, sorry.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. A recent social media post that I threw up on Discord from the Automatic pretty much sums up everything I have to say about VW these days, and I thought it was spot on. The caption says, VW claims drivers wanted, but stop making drivers cars.
It's pretty disappointing. I think they have a lot of problems. Drivers wanted. They really do want drivers, but they're not making anything drivers want. That's the problem. I don't know what to say. I mean, they're really expensive, and to option out a GTI at $50,000 or $60,000 to have it eat oil off the lot at 0 miles is insanity.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't know who's in charge.
And that was one thing you could count on in the old days, was that German build quality, and that has just plummeted. It's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
And breaking news. Mentioned before about the new Macan. The new ID4 will be rebadged as the Tiguan. Oh, I'm sorry, Brad. Did I put you to sleep?
I mean, not you. Volkswagen did.
Oh, yeah. So boring.
You know, I am a huge Volkswagen fan, as you know. I love Volkswagen cars. I recommend anything Mark IV and older to people. And my friend just bought one, and not a Volkswagen, she was looking for a new car. She needed to replace her like 13-year-old Jeep. And I was like, oh, why not a Volkswagen? She said, nope, not going to happen. She went to the dealership, and what did she end up with? A Mazda CX-50, the new Volkswagen, the new driver's cars.
100%.
Yeah. But I think that's an issue across all the German cars. Mercedes and BMW, the brands we love to talk about, and Audi even too, like all their quality has been going down for years.
Well, I'm glad you opened the door to talk about BMW and Mercedes because I know we try to avoid it, but sometimes we just can't, Brad. We have news coming from Lower Saxony this month. I know we talked about this design and we were like, oh man, it's rendering, this is some AI nonsense. Well, guess what? It ain't AI rendering anymore. The new 3 Series has been revealed.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
I think it's a Geely. Brad is speechless.
I don't know what that is.
That's the new BMW i3.
That is the 3 Series. That's what they're going to look like.
But it's the i3 though. So does this replace the regular 3 Series? Oh, I guess it does say, yeah, it says right there, right in front of me. Reading, comprehension, everybody. Reviews all new 3 Series. Yeah, so yeah, what? It looks like a Corolla,
It also kind of looks like a 5 Series. It looks really big.
which the 5 Series are super ugly too. Yeah.
Yeah, to their credit. They got rid of the big carp grills.
They were growing on me. I actually really like those on the M3. I saw an M3 today on my way home, and I actually kind of like that.
You'd think you couldn't make it uglier, and then they managed to figure out how.
See, this is the Subaru thing. I keep talking about it. Every time the new Subaru comes out, you're like, man, is it ugly? Until the next one comes out. And then you look at the old one, you go, it's not that bad. And you can do that with every Subaru, especially the Impreza that's come out since the 2.5 RS body style, like the Colin McRae one from the 90s, which was actually a halfway decent looking little shitbox. But after that, they just got with the blob eye and the hawk eye and the this eye and the that. And then they just got uglier and uglier and uglier. And BMW is doing the same thing. Same thing.
I read an article about this car, and they were talking about how it's supposed to be like it's really fast and it's going to have a lot of power and everything. But it got me thinking, and I don't know if we'll answer this question now, but like, what was the best decade for actual drivers' cars?
So this is something that John Summers and his co-host Mark Gammy debate quite a lot on the Motoring Historian these days. I was talking to John even this week, and he was saying how he sort of settled in to how the cars from the 80s and 90s are probably what he calls peak car.
Yeah, totally.
Because you had the beginnings of ABS, but you didn't have all the nannies. And in some cases, some cars were better off having ABS than without, but then they were still very analog. Suspensions were very simple. Designs were things that people liked. And you could get in, flog the crap out of the cars, and enjoy the experience of driving. But after a certain point, and I think that's the mid 2000s, like 2005, 6 timeframe, because those cars are sort of leftover from the 90s. They were developed in the 90s and carried in. We've had these discussions on the What Should I Buy episodes, but after the mid 2000s, it all just starts to fall apart. It aligns exactly with the Bangle period at BMW. As soon as Chris Bangle stepped in as a designer, just to kind of highlight them because we're talking about them, that's when it all began to fall apart.
To stick with BMW, I mean, people would argue that like the E46 series of the BMWs and even the E39 were like the best, most well-balanced, fun cars.
Yeah.
Their slogan back then used to be the ultimate driving machine. And that got me wondering, like, I think also around that time that's when the really big horsepower wars started.
Yeah.
And I think that ruined cars. Now you can have a car with 700, 800, 900 horsepower or whatever off a dealer lot. Fantastic. That's amazing. What's it like to drive? What is it like to drive a Hellcat? Probably effing sucks.
Yeah.
It's probably a terrible car to drive. So like what was the best generation or the best decade or time period for an actual driver's car? I'd like to hear actually, if she's up for it, what Tanya thinks the best generation or time period of drivers' cars, because she's got something very, very modern and something in that time period we were just talking, and then something in the 80s. She's kind of got a plethora.
When the question was first asked, what I thought of in my head as the answer was 80s and 90s.
Mm.
which then you went on to say that John Summers said the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're discounting all the muscle cars and the Malays and all that stuff, the people
They
like
were all terrible to drive.
they were not great.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like the 90s and early 2000s was the best combination
Correct.
of safe, fun to drive, had enough power that you could, get into a little bit of trouble, but not too much trouble.
And they were still stylish.
I think that's the period. And they looked good, yeah.
Now, I will say to your point about the horsepower wars, I think that started with the C5 Z06. When they came to the table and said 400, 400, everybody stood back and said, "Whoa, we're going 400 horsepower now?" Because if you look at the cars up until that point, 247 horsepower was, the bi-turbo S4 and the M3 and even the Nissan GTR. They were all like sub 300 horsepower because of
And,
insurance.
and in Japan, they were all 276.
Yeah, right. And then Porsche was like, oh, 330 in the 911 turbo. And it was like right around 300 horsepower. And, everybody was creeping around that number. And 300 was like, oh, that's a lot. And then Corvette said, y'all, 400. And then from there, it was like to the stratosphere. Now we have 1100 horsepower gas motors and we got 1900 horsepower equivalent EVs. But the driving capability of people does not match the ability of the vehicles either, right?
Right. And that's the thing. Like you mentioned the Corvette. I mean, yeah, the 400, they were so proud of the 400. They even stamped it right on the Z06 badge.
Yeah, they
Z06
did.
400 horsepower. But the flip side of that with that particular car is not only did they advertise 400, 400, they also advertised 1G, 1G because it could pull a G in a
Yes.
turn. Most of the other cars that were started with the horsepower war, and definitely the cars now, they can't do that.
No, and this generation of pony wars that's going on is just absolutely insane. The stuff that they're producing. And again, I'm not knocking people's ability to drive, but the standard driving test that you get does not necessarily say, "Oh yeah, you're ready to go drive an 1100 horsepower Demon tomorrow." That's just no. That's a whole different caliber of driving.
Even though you can roll up to your driver's test in one.
Yeah, 1000%. I'm sure it's been done, but hey, whatever.
While you all were talking, was perusing a list of, just out of curiosity, coolest and probably best 90s cars ever. It's a very long list, and you read down the list, and it's like the Acura Legend, all of the different Audis, the Coupe, the 100, the 200 wagon, the Z3 M Coupe. BMW was in that time frame. You had the Corrado, you had whatever other Golfs, you had the Miata coming out. Obviously, there was Porsche.
Viper, you had the Viper.
You had the Viper, you had the Eagle Talon people. The Eagle Talon was there. You had, if you were into vans, man, the Aerostar wagons, vans, the
Yeah, with
minivans,
all-wheel drive and a manual.
the
Yeah,
F40,
yeah, yeah,
the NSXs, even Mercedes with the CLK GTR was that
yeah,
time. The
yeah,
850 BMW, the 300ZX twin turbo. If you're into American, you had the Firebird Trans Am. The RX-7, the
yeah,
Celica, the Skylines.
yeah. It goes on and on.
I mean, it goes on and on. The Lancias, if you're in Europe, the Delta was that time period. My God, yes. I mean, so many things out of this list. The SL Mercedes, the little two-door. There was a ton of good stuff back then.
And they were all unique and different looking, and they all had their own personalities. Yeah.
Exactly. You could tell them apart. That's a Toyota. That's an Audi. That's an Acura. It wasn't like, oh, I'm sorry, is that a BMW 3 Series or is that a Toyota Corolla?
Right.
Yeah.
Or is that the new Civic?
And I think that's why John calls it peak car because we've crested the peak. We are on the other side of that slope, and it's not getting any better anytime soon.
You're probably right. Start teetering off after the mid 2000s because in the early 2000s you still had like the A4 was really nice. You had the TT that was coming out right there at the cusp of the end of the 90s into the early 2000s. You had the resurgence of the Beetle, take that for what you will, depending on your fandom. The peak of golf
Yeah.
was the early to mid 2000s, the Mark IVs and even the Jettas, right? And then slowly, I think after that time period, you couldn't play that game anymore when you were a kid at night looking down the street or riding in the car and going like, oh, those headlights, that's a
Yeah.
whatever. That's a whatever. Now it's like, I don't know. Is that a cop behind me? Is that a Kia? Is that Hyundai? Is that an Altima coming to take me out? I don't know. Maybe it's a pickup truck.
It's a Cybertruck. Yeah. And we'll get to another iconic car. I don't want to take the cat out of the bag for Lost and Found just yet, but there's another one on this list that everybody forgets. And it might be the most iconic of iconic cars, but we'll get there. So let's put a pin in that and get back on track and talk about BMW and Mercedes because I found this next thing really, really amusing. I'm just going to read the headline. Court blocks attempt to force BMW and Mercedes to stop selling gas cars.
They block an attempt. So someone's trying to stop them from making gasoline cars, but the courts said no, no.
Yes.
Okay.
An environmental group sought in court to halt BMW and Mercedes sales of new combustion engine vehicles by 2030, but to no avail. That's the subtitle there.
You know who heads up the group?
Who's that?
Christian Horner.
Protesting the wrong thing. That man is unhireable. No one will give him a job. Oh, Lord. Yeah, so there's that going on for BMW and Mercedes. And oh, by the way, Tanya, you talked about it. We got together at the end of the season. We're talking about things that were closing and things that were dying. We missed one.
Uh-huh.
After 39 years in business, AC Schnitzer, the BMW tuner, has closed its doors.
Oh, okay.
But the reason they're closing, I thought was really interesting. Unlike everybody else, whatever excuses they use for going out of business, AC Schnitzer came to the table and they legitimately said it was German bureaucracy that forced them to close. Because they're a tuner, every change they make to a BMW has to go through like regulatory compliance and all this kind of stuff with their version of the DOT. And they said it was taking upwards of 9 months to get changes approved for highway use on the BMWs that they were tuning and that they were modifying. That left buyers wanting to go spend their money elsewhere, to which I thought probably Porsche.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So who's going to support any warranty claims for AC Schnitzer parts and products?
I think that's a 5-minute, 5-mile warranty from the word go. I think as soon as you sign that pad and hand them your credit card, that's it. It's over.
Because they all have stamped on them, race use only, not to be used on public road.
Yeah, not approved by German DOT.
Yes.
Those cars will find their way on to bring a trailer, just like everything else. All right, so let's get out of this BMW Mercedes
Thank God.
funk, and let's talk about Japanese stuff. In Asian domestic news, this is exciting stuff here. After 20 years, Toyota has unveiled the new Celica, and you know where they did it? On the World Rally Championship stage. Yeah, the Celica's coming back. So that means if Gazoo has their way, we're gonna see a proper Celica Supra, not that BMW thing they gave us.
Nobody's gonna have their way. They put the bean counter in charge.
Why you gotta rain on my parade?
Reality, because we really think the MR2 that they said is gonna come out.
I remain hopeful and steadfast that Gazoo will continue to produce cool stuff. Notice I didn't say Toyota. Gazoo will continue to
So
produce.
is this gonna be like Scion?
Yeah, yes, exactly. It'll be like Scion. It looks cool though. It's big for a two-door coupe. Let's call it that. It's big. Now, granted, it has the big rally flares, just like the Yaris and all the other rally Toyotas have, and it's all jacked up, so it's hard to tell what it would look like as a street car. But this is exciting. The Celica could be coming back.
Scion's gonna drive it.
And it also sort of boggled my mind that it's been 20 years since the Celica went out of production. That's a long time. The last Celica was sort of crap, wasn't it? I mean, no offense, Ron Shuri, if you're listening, but it was sort of crap.
That's funny that you think you would be listening.
Thank you for your continued Patreon support.
Yes.
I don't know. I think that's exciting. Celica is coming back. All right. So you remember before we were talking about BMW and how there's the Subaru effect, I like to call it. This next one is case in point of what I'm talking about. Please take a look at the 2026 Subaru Trailseeker.
Subaru trash can.
The what?
The Trailseeker.
What?
It seeks trails. I don't understand what this is. Is this like a wagon?
Is it a van?
Its owners are blonde.
Well, it's like a really smushed van. It has like lines of a van.
It looks like an ID4.
A Tiguan.
They all have that same rear light now. Did you notice that with the long light bar, just like the Porsches and the Audis have? Why is that a design thing now?
Because they all copied.
Why is the fog light integrated into the plastic cladded fenders?
That reminds me of what was that Jeep that had the three headlights?
Oh, that was the Cherokee.
Like 10, 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
God, how much plastic did they put on this?
This is terrible.
And the windows are tiny and the doors are huge. It's all wrong. Was this designed by ChatGPT?
I mean, it has the lines of a minivan, but it's too short. So then it's like, well, wagon, but then it's not,
I bet if you saw this in person, it's massive.
probably.
This is the trickery of these things. They never put an object next to the car so you can gauge how big it is, right? Because if you put a 6-foot male next to this, you kind of go, oh shit, it's as tall as he is. It's 6 feet. That's huge. So you got to get perspective. It's like person standing next to a redwood tree. But this thing is, I don't know. This is what people want.
I
No.
think it might be the size of a Tahoe
It's
in
enormous.
real life.
I could care less about the cubic foot of storage that it has. It has towing capacity, apparently. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds because it's electric. I'm like, it's still ugly.
Idiots.
Cloth is the new thing, right? There's no more leather or vinyl in cars. It's all this cloth. Like it looks like a dentist's office.
No, that's a very Subaru thing. And I don't know why.
Looks terrible.
It's part of that rugged appeal. Apparently, leather's not rugged, but cloth is.
Until it
Because that way,
isn't.
when you're dirty from your hiking adventures and you get in, then you can get the seat dirty and then not be able to clean it. And that just adds to the ambiance of outdoor trail seeking.
What is that television in the middle of the dashboard? Is that 17 inches? It's huge. God. Nothing about that says awesome.
And you know what the driver's era of cars didn't have? Computer screens in them.
They barely
No.
had cassette decks.
They barely had CD players. They had cassette decks.
Continuing with Asian domestic news, guess what, Tanya? The rumor mill is humming. Hyundai is expected to make 21 examples of the Vision N74 concept at the low, low price of $350,000 a piece. You gonna get one?
I don't know. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere, but
Except social media. That's the only place. It's where all the best news comes from. I think it's BS because I don't think they're gonna make it. It's hydrogen powered for one. Then what are people gonna do with it? Use it as a model car? I mean, unless they're making a Back to the Future reboot movie, that would make sense.
you're selling it for 350,000. You're only selling it to rich people who aren't going to drive it.
So it doesn't matter if they can get hydrogen or not. So it'll have like 12 original miles. But on the same token, not necessarily Asian news, but the French connection. Alpine, yes, Alpine, the same Alpine as in Formula One, is reportedly going through US crash certification for the
That is true.
A110.
That is true.
That is exciting. The Cayman Killer could be coming to the US.
Well, Porsche is the Cayman Killer.
Oh, oh, rim shot. Bang. Now, granted, it's going to cost $2 quadrillion. I mean, I've seen these in person, especially I've seen the A110R Ultime, they call it, which is like the GT3 version or whatever. Fan freaking tastic. I would love to have one of these. They are amazing. Oh, and I never would I have ever thought that Alpine would be like, oh yeah, we're going to bring cars to the United States. There's still a possibility that they're not going to, but the fact that they're going through crash testing means they might be making a push. Because unlike Audi, who's in denial, Alpine needs to sell cars to fund their Formula One program. So probably a good idea to expand their market a little bit, don't you think? I don't know. I'm excited. I think those cars are awesome. The downside, much like the Alfa Romeo 4C, because of its monocoque and all that other stuff that they did, will never come with a manual transmission. But with a car like that, do you really want it? Do you really care? Left foot brake in and some paddle shifters. Let's go. Let's go. This is a weapon. This is a proper sports car. Let's go. Tanya, as we close out this segment, this thing says commercial.
Since last time we were doing Super Bowl commercials,
Uh-huh.
so I dug back into the historical archives,
Oh boy.
find some old car commercials, and this one featuring celebrity Eddie Murphy.
And look at that. The Toyota Celica. How on point.
Bringing it full circle.
Did you look at this Celica commercial with Eddie Murphy?
I have not. Let's see.
All right. How bad is this one? It's only 30 seconds. How good could it be?
There's like a series of them, but yes.
Shut up, talking to town. In New York, it's almost as popular as I am. Oh, look at the glamorous style.
Glamorous styling.
Check out the dual mode four-wheel and steering.
Giving it a little rub down.
What is he doing to the car?
So weird.
Was he like fondling it? What was that?
Wanted.
That was almost Burgess Meredith level weird. Ah, so weird. Tanya, where do you find this stuff?
From the depths of YouTube.
It's a place I don't like to go very often. Switching gears to Lost and Found, your favorite section of the drive-thru. In keeping with what we were just talking about, or what Tanya was just talking about before, headline reads, 70% of Americans say new cars are unaffordable. This is Jalopnik reporting. Top shelf news here.
As is everything.
Yes, everything's gone up in price. But you know what's really interesting about this? Because they say that, and Tanya, you and I know, because we've been doing some of our own independent research on new cars as of late, there is suddenly a glut of cars starting at $25,000 that very quickly ramp up into the $40,000 sweet spot, which we talked about. Remember, we did that whole episode on the what can you buy for less than 50 grand in Millennial Gray. But there is a glut of cars in that space between 25 and 40,000. And they're not all terrible. They're not all great, but they're not all terrible either. I find this an interesting juxtaposition between what they're saying. 74% of Americans say new cars aren't affordable. Is that because we're all bougie and we don't want to drive the cars that exist in the $25,000 to $40,000 range now because they're considered too cheap and we all have to have some nice status symbol? Tesla set the bar. We all need to be driving whatever it is. 60,000 is the new 30,000. Because if that's the case, maybe we need to kind of look at things in a different lens, in a different light, because I think we're overlooking some really good cars that are actually quite affordable.
Well, if you read further down into the article, they actually solve the problem for us.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so they say that the real problem is that companies just don't pay their employees enough. It's okay that the car prices are so high. It's just people just need to make more money.
What's that got to do with the price of tea and...
Yeah, it's just a way to make a political statement.
Oh, well, that's wah-wah.
If a majority of Americans only make, let's make up numbers, $70,000 a year, and they have to go buy a car that costs $50,000,
Yeah.
how do they afford it?
Yeah, but the new Sentra is like less than $30,000. So why wouldn't you go buy that?
To that point, you can still get something that's $20,000 or around there is just going to be a toaster.
You also don't have to buy new.
And that's just it. I mean, there are cars sitting on CarMax lots that are reasonably priced as well. And their stuff is generally pretty good quality because they're very selective on what they sell and what they get rid of and all that kind of stuff. Why not buy a car that's a couple of years old, that's already been broken in, that might have been already through all the warranty stuff and all the recalls and all the nonsense? Find yourself a car with 10,000 miles on it or less. Call it a day.
I don't know, because people can't do anything anymore. Like, I mean,
Because you think you're going to do more with a brand new car?
no, I mean, like, if you go back in time, cars were simpler,
Yeah.
but people still didn't, like, you could buy a used car and you could probably do your, some of your own maintenance. But nowadays, people don't have an interest.
Well, and they've made the cars impossible to work on without.
Even if you had an interest, you'd need a PhD to unlock the brake caliper
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, because yes, there's inflation. The price of everything is high. Salaries haven't necessarily kept up, one could argue, but you could make that argument probably 20 years ago too.
That is very true. That is very true. I mean, if you compare a car with fuel injection to something with a carburetor, that was space age technology, this fuel injection. Why I can't put a screwdriver in there and change my settings and make it run rich or make it run lean? Like, no, you couldn't do that. It was computer controlled, right? That was the future. It's been an evolution for sure, but I think at the end of the day, if you're shopping for a car right now, I wouldn't discount a CarMax or a used car that was from a reputable source. Because if you think about it, despite the fact you're going to get a 3 year, 36,000 mile warranty, that seems to be the going rate for any new car these days, which is not a lot because the way people are driving still, you're going to blow through 36,000 miles in no time. Let's be fair. But if you had a reputable shop to work on your car, their hourly rate is still lower than that of the dealership. Once you're out of warranty, taking your car to the dealer is insane. You go to the Honda dealer, it's $150 an hour. At least, your local mechanic, okay, maybe it's 100. So you're saving even there if you've got to, do any maintenance on the car and you can't do it yourself. So there's something to be said about still buying a used car, but I don't think you buy the one with 285,000 miles. You buy the one with 28,000 miles.
I mean, and this goes into something we've talked about numerous times on the drive-through. Don't buy a car if you don't have to.
Yeah, there's that as well.
And I had many friends that did it, and I tried to keep up with the Joneses too. It's you get into this cycle of like trading up your car every 2 years or whatever, every 3 years. It's almost like a lease mentality when you don't have a lease. You're just creating problems for yourself. If you don't need to get rid of the car, then don't get rid of the car. If you just want a new car to get a new car, that's not a reason to get a new car.
That's fair. And you're touching on something that John Summers also talks about on some of the other episodes he does by himself, where he goes to these seminars out in California, where he sits in and he listens to these lectures on these companies that are building autonomous vehicles and all these new EVs and all this kind of stuff. And the paradigm shift that's occurring in that space, because if Johnny Cab is the future, none of us will own cars. We'll be calling up our little Johnny Cab and it'll come and get us, or we'll lease the car so it sits in our driveway and then it takes us where we want to go. But when the car needs to be repaired or replaced, that's on Waymo or Google or whoever owns the car at that time, manufactures the car at that time to do the service and the repairs and all that. But what's interesting about that, and I think the big block that everybody's forgetting is when you shift to that new way of doing business, insurance companies are out of business, right? Geico and Allstate and Jake from State Farm aren't going to let that happen because they want to make their money too. Then who are they insuring? I'm not driving. I'm just a passenger. So that's great. I got a ton of money in my pocket at that point.
But then you need passenger insurance.
Exactly. That's what it'll become. It'll become like whoever it is, Waymo or whatever, they'll become the insurer. It's like when you go to work, your employer provides you subsidized health insurance, but you pay a part into that. So now I don't own the car, but I'm taking part in this business.
Yeah.
Therefore, now I have to pay into the insurance of them, right? And then they'll probably charge high premiums to Waymo or whoever, and then it just gets passed on to you. So you'll be paying for insurance on something you don't own because you are a passenger in there.
So it's like renter's insurance, basically.
Yeah, you need to pay for passengers protection.
Because after all, you got in that Waymo, and if you hadn't chosen to get in that Waymo, then it wouldn't have been on the road at the time of an incident.
Now, I will say, Brad, to your point, if you've ever ridden in a cab in DC or New York, you almost want to have passenger insurance because that is legit scary.
Yeah. You're taking your life into your own hands.
You really are. Like, you need to up your life insurance every time you get in a cab in Manhattan. But yeah, so there's definitely a paradigm shift there as well. But the problem is, if we ever get to that dystopia that they're creating, there's going to be a weird period where all of this overlaps, and it's going to be the most chaotic nonsense that we've ever experienced. And I hope it all happens like after we're gone, because I really don't want to have to suffer through it. It's bad enough as it is. Anyway, new car prices. Ugh. Lost and Found is all about digging up stuff that we haven't seen before, or, we've forgotten about. I keep saying this. How many more barns are there full of cars in this world? I feel like You know, the Forza Horizon games where you drive around, you know, you're looking for the barn, it's got another classic car. Like, here we go again, another barn full of cars. Well, this time it's a barn full of Saabs. And I'm looking at your face.
Yeah.
I don't even know that I'm that interested in the Saabs. I'm actually more interested in this barn. Like, how did they get the cars up there? Where is this barn? Like, tell me more about this barn.
Well, they show you in the video they have a forklift. So that's how they got him up there.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Right? I mean, they're up in the air. If you drove by this barn, you were sniffing around, you wouldn't even know these Saabs were here. This is a big barn. How many cars are in there? Like 20 plus? Easily, right?
Yeah.
So I teased this up earlier. We're talking about you brought up peak cars, you know, we're talking about the 80s and the 90s. In another post that because you know, you go down a rabbit hole sometimes when you find this stuff. Another post, Saab 900 is the most underrated iconic car of the 80s and 90s.
Is that right?
Is that a missed opportunity?
I don't know enough about them to comment.
I've driven one in my life. It was an ugly green color, and it was as quirky on the inside as it is on the outside. It was very strange to drive.
Very quirky vehicles.
I mean, I thought French cars were weird, and then I drove a Saab, right? It was just like, why is the key on the floor? Like, what are we? That's where you put it? Like, it makes no, there's some weird stuff that just makes no sense.
I think their whole thing is because they were designed by like aerospace engineers.
Yeah, born from jets.
So they tried to take cues from like aviation and stuff like that.
That's not practical.
Duh, that's why 99% of all the other car manufacturers didn't do that.
Bizarre. Although, you know, I will say with wiser eyes looking at the Saab 900, I like its shape. It's grown on me quite a bit. There is one I see in the city every now and again, and I'm like, it's in black, 900 turbo, and I'm just like, that's a cool car. It really is kind of cool. Then you remember how quirky it is, and you're like, yeah, it's like not cool anymore.
I always thought the Saab 900 was a very weird looking 911. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not. You're not wrong at all.
Yeah, it just looks like a very odd looking 911. Because there was a guy in my neighborhood in elementary school that it was parked on the street all the time. And I would look at it and I was like, what the F is that? The 911 looks really funny.
Yeah. All right. We don't have any uncool wall, no Tesla gate for our season kickoff. Brad, I'll give you three guesses what Tanya's going to say for the next question.
The answer is yes.
She did not watch the F1 movie. Come on now. Are you serious?
That's just wishful thinking.
Nope. But I will have watched it by the next episode.
We got close the other day. I was like, hey, you want to watch it? And she was like, how long is the movie? And then I brought it up and then she just literally like walked out of my house. Like, it's like, duh.
So if she has not watched it by the weekend I come up there, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna tie her into a chair and make her sit there and watch it a Clockwork Orange style. Yes. So Tanya, if you're around that weekend, you better be prepared.
It is 2.5 hours of your life you'll never get back.
Yeah, but like 20 minutes of it is credits.
Or Brad Pitt on a motorcycle. One or
Or
the
Brad
other.
Pitt on a motorcycle doing his weird talk.
Days of Thunder 2. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Days of Thunder 2. You mentioned some rich people things earlier. We talked about the N74. We talked about those other cars. But Brad, you dug this for Tanya, and I couldn't help but start laughing at this.
Oh yeah. Bugatti debuted a 0 horsepower Bugatti Factor 1. Can you guess what it is?
No, what is that? Is it? It's not like another Baby 2 or one of those go-kart things, is it?
It is a set of rollerblades. No, it's a road bike. It's a bicycle. Hence the 0 horsepower.
For the low price of
For the low price of $24,000.
oh, brutal.
So how much are you paying per horsepower?
Can people actually make equivalent horsepower? Has that ever been measured? How much horsepower does an Olympic cyclist make? Is that a thing?
So, according to AI, an Olympic cyclist typically generates between 0.4 and and 3 horsepower.
Wait, what did you say their answer was?
0.4 to 3 horsepower.
0.4 to 3. 3 would be a lot.
That's for like the elite of the elite.
Yeah, that's a lot because you used to have to convert watts to horsepower. Yeah, somewhere in 0.1 to a very normal person is probably not even 0.3.
Yeah. Because I wonder if I could generate more horsepower for a very much shorter amount of time.
Well, you got bigger pistons.
I
Yeah.
got bigger pistons. I have more displacement.
You're like a V8. She's like a turbo 4. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
you got all them torquems.
Yeah, I can probably generate a lot of torque.
This is true. Unless you're really stroking.
Wait, are you having a stroke? Is that what you said?
Someone check my air fuel.
Yeah, your air fuel mixture would be you'd be running lean. You'd be out of breath.
Oh my God. Oh man.
I'm sorry, ma'am. You're gonna have to go for an inspection. Your methane levels are off.
You need a new catalytic converter.
I'd be curious now. I'd have to look. I could probably hit 0.3 horsepower, but not for very long.
Purse purse.
I feel like this is a challenge. We gotta find a way to get this done.
Oh man, I wonder if you could do that on a bike trainer and figure it out.
Yeah, because I can do a power run and see my wattage and just convert it to horsepower.
All right, you do that and you let us know next time. I'll put a note for the next drive. How much horsepower does Tanya make?
And for how long?
Yeah. Oh, ooh, yeah.
So, if you want to decrease the ratio of dollars per horsepower, you just got to be a better athlete.
So that means this is false advertising because you can make up to 3 horsepower if you provide it yourself.
Yeah. This is BYOHP.
So it is a non-zero number, is what we're saying. This can actually produce a non-zero number. Because I love the subquote here. The Bugatti Factor 1 isn't powered by horsepower at all, but by pure human effort, making it one of the most unexpected Bugatti vehicles ever created. Who comes up with this marketing nonsense?
And don't forget, if you're looking for that extra special automobilia to complete your garage, office, den, or man cave, be sure to check out GarageStyleMagazine.com for a list of upcoming auctions and events, along with a curated list of items going up for sale all over the country. Because after all, what doesn't belong in your garage?
All right, well, let's switch gears and go to Are You Faster Than an Interceptor? I found this article to be a bit of a boomerang because we're coming back to a story we reported on a couple years ago on the drive-through, and it's about how the Austrians were switching over to EVs as their police cars. Well, Austria has decided that they are going to pull the plug on EV police cars.
I would just like to say that I appreciate the author of this article who succinctly summarized in 3 bullet points at the top of the article.
Mhm.
In the first bullet point, Austrian police found EVs unsuitable for general patrols due to range and charging issues. That saved me from reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it does go on for a long time.
I bet AI did that.
Maybe
That's how I'm going to do.
the drive-through.
I'm going to take each article, run it through AI, and say, give me the bullet points.
You still won't be any more prepared than you are now.
Nope, because I'm going to forget I said this, and then we're going to come back to next month.
Brad, since we're kicking things off, let's actually kick off Tanya's Florida Man section here with a proper Florida Man story. Not totally related to cars, but you sent us this one, and I could not help but want to reshare it. Why don't you read us what this one's about?
So you got to take this with a grain of salt.
No, I don't.
As I was saying to Tanya earlier, I get a lot of posts and news and stories and stuff on social media, and I have no idea without fact checking if any of this stuff is real or AI generated or whatever. I'm going to read the caption though. A Florida man was arrested for attempting to baptize an alligator in a Waffle House using a pitcher of iced tea.
funnier every time.
Yeah. Miami-Dade County, Florida, so down in southern Florida, what witnesses are calling the most Waffle House moment in history. Florida man was arrested after allegedly attempting to baptize a live alligator inside a Waffle House using a pitcher ice tube.
I heard a story which was allegedly true from someone I met from Florida that said they had seen somebody throw an alligator, like I guess a baby alligator, they had it in their car through a Wendy's drive-through window. So I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible in Florida.
So I don't believe
Well,
this is real because the hashtags are
no.
funny, comedy, F-book lifestyle, satire for entertainment only. So I think this is like the Onion.
Yeah, I think the Snopes fact checked that as being not true. I think it was staged.
I
Yeah.
want it to be true though. Really
It
do.
could be true. That's the reality.
I think still the killer is the old man with the leaf blower trying to blow himself down the road on the in the wheelchair. Like that for me is one of the best Florida man memories.
I don't know. The guy that lit his Malibu on fire with candles is pretty good too.
That was like the first drive-through episode.
I love that Florida is so bonkers that we can't actually definitively say if some of these stories are real or not.
Right? All right. Well, Tanya, what do you have here on the list?
Well, the first one, I don't know why that link doesn't work anymore, but apparently this person was a transporter and he was transporting some guy's Porsche and his two scooters, and then decided that he needed to go to the DMV to renew his license, and his car wouldn't do, so he took the Porsche that wasn't his.
Mm.
And the owner, I think, had some sort of tracking on it and could realize that it wasn't on the trailer, but it was like driving around somewhere.
Oh no.
Needless to say, he was arrested.
LoJack to the rescue.
Note to self, if you're transporting your car, put some ear tags or something in it.
Yeah, no kidding.
This next one, though, is even better. So the title is Florida Man doing 101 in a 55 trying to, quote, avoid an animal. The dude got pulled over and told deputy he was speeding to avoid an animal in the roadway. Under what circumstances does that make sense? Were you being chased by a cheetah?
By an ostrich, they could do 45 miles an hour.
A cheetah can do 100, right?
80 or something
No,
like that at full tilt. Yeah.
a cheetah can do about 55, I think.
70. They can do 70. Sorry.
Does he say what he was avoiding? Was it a squirrel, like, or is it an alligator?
It was himself. Now, the real question.
What was he driving?
I know, and it doesn't say. All it says is dark four-door sedan. What do we think it is?
Altima. It had to have been. Had to have been an Altima.
I
Doesn't
mean,
look like it looks like an Infinity interior.
they don't show it.
You found a picture?
Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at I'm getting tripped up by the
The body cam.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a Olympian Shikari Richardson getting pulled over. Ha.
Yeah.
Can we actually use this excuse? Excuse me, officer, but I was evading an animal.
I'm sorry, officer. There was a squirrel.
I mean, I was being chased by a hippopotamus. Don't they do like 25 mile an hour?
Was it like Jurassic Park? It was a T-Rex. Those seem pretty fast.
Little arms.
I'm sorry, officer, I was speeding to avoid the police.
I don't know that that carries a lot of weight.
I was running from a pig.
Jesus Christ. Before we wrap out this Florida Man segment, just a little sneak peek into season 7 of Break Fix. We have an author coming on the show here in the next couple of months. His name is Jesse Fresco. I met him at AwesomeCon down in DC, where I happened to bump into Max Kaiserman from Losing Replicas, who was down there. We can talk about that another time, but he has this new little novella series, calls it the Autumn Frost Story series. And the very first one takes place in the DMV, and it's called Drive Like Hell. And then there's going to be a whole series of these novellas. And so I just want to read you a little bit of what it says here. It says, Autumn Frost never wanted much out of life. A nice home in Annapolis, a decent job to live comfortably, someone to love to wake up to every morning, but life had other plans. While out on her rounds as a to and from driver, that means Uber or Lyft, she picks up a hysterical young girl who's being chased by her boyfriend with a gun. As they speed off, the girl admits that in her backpack is 2 pounds of fentanyl. From that point on, the girl's boyfriend is after them, a drug ring is after them, a sociopath hitman, and the cops. All of it is up to Autumn Frost to drive like hell. I'm excited for this. And this actually leads into some other books that Jesse has written. So really excited to have like a proper Florida Man author coming on the show. So look forward to that as the season progresses. But you can pick up a copy of Jesse Fresco's books today if you're interested. Well, on that, it's time we go behind the pit wall and quickly talk about motorsports news. The 2026 Le Mans entry list has been posted really early compared to previous years. Have you guys looked at this yet? 62 cars across 3 classes,
Okay.
18 cars in hypercar, 19 in LMP2, the rest of them in LMGT3.
Huh. When is this race again? June?
June is Father's Day. It's always Father's Day.
I don't think it's actually Father's Day weekend this year.
Is it not? It's always like the longest day of summer.
June 13.
So here we go. Hypercar, which is the only class anybody cares about. Aston Martin with the Valkyrie. Toyota with the new TR010 that we talked about. Cadillac, BMW, Genesis Magma,
Smegma.
Alpine, Ferrari, Peugeot. That's a hell of a lineup.
So Porsche is out.
Porsche is out officially of Le Mans. We skip over LMP2 because they're all Orecas with Gibson engines, so whatever. And then we get to LMGT3, and we're looking at Corvette, McLaren, Ferrari, Aston, BMW, Mercedes, Ford, Lexus, and 2 privateer 911s. So Porsche is out of Le Mans for 2026, other than the 2 privateer cars. Can you believe it? When was the last time Porsche didn't run in Le Mans?
Well,
They stopped for a couple years when Toyota kept winning.
why are the Iron Dames program scaled back?
That I don't know. I had heard rumors something there was changing as well. They were getting a different car, different series or something like that. Maybe, and I don't want to say getting out altogether, but there was definitely some changes afoot, but I never dug into it more. The Iron Lynx, the men's version of the Iron Dames, they're still in it.
Why is there a men's version? The rest of it's men's version.
That's how they split it up. The dynamic makes no sense to me either.
I don't see Jackie Chan racing either.
No, Jackie Chan's been out for quite a while, my man. And it's funny you bring that up. I got to interview
Jackie Chan?
No, I got to interview Ricky Taylor, and he talks about racing for Jackie Chan. I don't know if you remember or not. He was one of the drivers for Jackie Chan racing in LMP2.
You interviewed Ricky or Jordan?
I've interviewed both of them, but when I interviewed Ricky was talking about how he raced for Jackie Chan. Now, he never got to meet him, but he got to be part of the program and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Interesting. That is cool.
So yeah, they announced the full roster of cars that are going to be running at Le Mans this year. I'm still excited, even if Porsche's not there. I'm really curious to see what Hyundai does with the Genesis Magma and how Aston does and all that. But I'm worried for Ferrari. Again, I've said they need to leave on a high. Ford is not here. I would hate to see Ferrari lose to Ford. So maybe they'll get out before the getting out is not good. But Ford is supposed to come by next year, right? Is what they said, by 2027. So we'll see this list change again. But I think this might be the first time we've ever seen a Korean brand at the 24-hour Le Mans. So that's pretty historic in and of itself. So pretty cool stuff. Oh, by the way, last time we talked about the FIA WEC TV, since we're talking about watching the 24 hours of Le Mans, and we didn't know what it was going to cost. They did finally announce their pricing. It's 49 euros. You got to do the conversion there. 49 euros a year. So I thought that was not terrible. So you get the entire WEC series and the 24 hours Le Mans through the FIA WEC TV Plus subscription.
It's cheaper than what the F1 used to be.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Now we pay the Apple tax instead. And in some sad news, motorsports legend Bob Tullius passed away on March the 16th. Now, some of you might be asking, who? Bob Tullius? Who's that? I might have heard that name before. Well, you probably had, because Bob Tullius, famous for creating Group 44 racing back in the 1960s and campaigning cars like the infamous Group 44 Jags at the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the Audi Quattros that ran in the United States in both Trans Am and IMSA in the late 80s and early 90s. So an icon in the motorsports world passed away just a couple weeks ago. So sad to see it.
He lived a long life. 95.
Yeah. He's up there with Robert Duvall now. They're having some ice cream.
That's my ice cream with Newman.
That's right. Our motorsports news is brought to you in part by Enduroverse, powered by Hyperdev, America's premier endurance racing community. Check it out online and become a member at www.enduroverse.com. All right, well, switching gears to the GTM Trackside Report. As you guys know, we're doing a Lemons build for the 24 Hours of Lemons series this season, and we wanted to give you an update on our unfocused performance project. The car is back, so what's next? One of the toughest things so far, outside of the ridiculous cost for safety equipment, has actually been trying to find parts for the Ford, and especially something that's the equivalent of ECS tuning or FCP Euro. We've talked about it behind the scenes, and I don't think we ever realize how good we have it with the German stuff until you go look for parts to work on something else, like how easy we have it, that you can go to an ECS tuning and get everything for anything. Going back, put in your part numbers, order from the Black Forest, you need this specialty, that. They keep making new parts for old cars. The Ford, it's the struggle is real. Like, if you're not getting it in advance, you're not getting it anywhere, kind of thing, you know? And thank goodness for places like Speedway Motors and Rock Auto and Jags and stuff like that, where you can get stuff. You'd think with something like a Ford Focus, it'd be a lot easier to get parts for.
It's unexciting. No wonder you all don't make cars anymore and just trucks.
Because there's no aftermarket for it, right? But with as many of those cars as they sold and the popularity of hot hatches and stuff like that, you would think there would be more places. Now, we're very fortunate. One of the guys on the team brought us a website, FS Works, and that is a sort of like a Euro tuning ECS kind of thing. And we've been able to find some parts on there that look like, hey, we can actually use that. It might be track worthy and it's not just some, street racer parts or whatever. Looking to find more of that kind of stuff. So if any of our listeners out there know of places to get high performance Ford parts, especially for a Focus, let us know, send us a note, hit us up on Discord, whatever, because again, we're having those challenges sourcing the stuff we need that is track worthy to make sure that the car is reliable going throughout the season. Unfortunately, because we had some setbacks timing wise, getting all the fabrication work done and all that kind of thing, we are going to be missing our first event. We were supposed to be going to Mid-Ohio. We were not able to register in time because the car is not ready. There's still a ton of stuff to do. We got to put a clutch in it just to make sure that it is, again, turnkey reliable, because the last thing you want to do is go to this race and the thing dies on you 20 minutes later. So stuff like that's got to get done. And people are still asking, how can we help? Well, couple different ways you can help. You can come and hang out. You can turn wrenches if you want, stuff like that. But the one thing that goes the longest is if you got a couple extra bucks to spare, even if it buys us gas or we put it towards tires or whatever, we do have a special tier on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/GT Motorsports and sign up to contribute and help sponsor our Lemons team, so we can get to our first event safely, reliably, and be able to report back on what the experience is like. So our first event shifted from Mid-Ohio to New Jersey. We're going to be running Thunderbolt in June, one of my favorite tracks. It's an awesome lap. So looking forward to having the car ready to go by mid-June for the NJMP event. So we'll see you there. And then the plan from that point forward will be Summit Point. And I am hoping to go to Road Atlanta in December, because that sounds like a lot of fun. We've been there before. We know what that's like. I think that's worth the tow to go down there and do that. And then maybe if there's enough money, it'd be cool to do Nelson Ledges or one of the other tracks in the middle of the summer, but we just got to have to see how things play out. But New Jersey for sure in June, and then Summit Point as well. So looking forward to it.
And if you're not quite ready to hit the track, don't forget that you can find tons of upcoming local shows and events at the ultimate reference for car enthusiasts, collectorcarguide.net.
March kicked off season 7 on the MPN with our International Women's Month celebrations. And we've got more awesome stories to come through the rest of this season. But if you're hearing us for the first time, be sure to jump back into our podcast catalog and check out other programs we offer, like the Ferrari Marketplace, the Motoring Historian, Evening with a Legend, the Racers Roundtable, Formula Fanatics, Break Fix, and of course, the Drive-Thru.
And if you enjoy our various podcasts, there's a great way for you to support our creators on MPN. There's tons of extras and bonuses to explore on our updated Patreon page. Learn more about our bonus and behind-the-scenes content, get early access to upcoming episodes, and consider becoming a Break Fix VIP when you visit patreon.com/GTmotorsports. As always, thank you to our co-host and executive producer, Kathleen Turner.
And if you are tuning in for the first time, my voice isn't usually this low.
She's just being modest, folks.
She's auditioning for the reboot of V.I. Warshawski.
As you can tell, Tanya has taken up smoking cigarettes.
My empathy kicked in already.
And to all the fans, friends, and family who support Grand Touring Motorsports, as well as the Motoring Podcast Network, without you, none of this would be possible. Actually, I think Kathleen Turner should say Otro this time.
Otro.
Oh my God, it's deeper than mine.
That's what she said.
Sultry.
Can you imagine Tanya on a bicycle on a dyno? Let's go. Let's see how much horsepower you make.
All I know is I don't want to be around when they do the air fuel.
Freaking tailpipe dust. Tail emissions.
Oh my God. It is. Otro, air fuel.
Tailpipe dust.
Remember, failing to prepare is just preparing to fail.
There you go.
Deep.
Sorry. Gotta compose myself. Woo!
Oh my God.
The Drive-Thru is our monthly news episode and is sponsored in part by organizations like CollectorCarGuide.net, Project Motoring, Garage Style Magazine, the Exotic Car Marketplace, and many others. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor of The Drive-Thru, look no further than www.motoringpodcast.net. Click About and then Advertising. Thank you again to everyone that supports the Motoring Podcast Network, Grand Touring Motorsports, our podcast Break Fix, and all the other services we provide.